It's time. Time to rank every quarterback so far this NFL season. Welcome, football fans, ladies, gentlemen, and jabronis. It's Mitch here, tier ranking every quarterback through 5 weeks of the 2025 NFL season. If that sounds good, Gronk, spike the like button and let your opinion be known in the comment section below. Let me know, Mitch, what are you doing? What are these rankings? Am I a jabroni? Let me know in the comments if you agree or you disagree with my rankings. Who's overrated? Who's underrated? Let me know in the comment section below. And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, don't be a jabroni, bro. Subscribe to the channel for more tier rankings just like this. Let's have some fun. Let's rank every quarterback. And I'm not basing my rankings on stats, box scores. I don't even know the stats. I don't care. Throw them out. I'm basing them on these two blue eyes, baby. That's what I'm doing. So let's have some fun and let's rank some quarterbacks. Okay, we have our tiers. Our tiers. MVP. This quarterback's playing like a most valuable player candidate. A stud. A very good quarterback. I love what I'm seeing. Goes above and beyond the offense in one way, shape, or form. A star quarterback. Someone that executes the offense at a high level. They're playing good football. They're just not playing like a true MVP. Mid. Up. Down. Sometimes they're a positive. Sometimes they're a negative to the team. They do some good things, but they also frustrate me in some ways. Not bad. This guy's serviceable. He's a starting quarterback, but he's not really a good one. Bad. This guy probably shouldn't be a starting quarterback. He's not playing like one. And bum. He probably already got benched. Or he's just simply unwatchable. This guy sucks. Like, please stop. I don't want to watch you anymore. Get off my television. That's what bum is. Now that we know and understand the tiers, let's rank them. And let's begin with one of the most controversial names at the quarterback position. His name is Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. And shout out to whoever made this tier ranking. It is beautiful. I love it. Kyler is the definition of mid. Because, yes, from a physical perspective, he has all the tools and skills in the world to go above and beyond and make plays creatively. He is the road runner, beep, beep, and he moves like one of the best, most elusive quarterbacks in football. I almost feel like he should use his legs a little bit more and be a little bit more dynamic, and maybe the offense needs to involve that a little bit more to give them some sort of element that actually is explosive. Because my biggest problem with Kyler right now is not necessarily Kyler. Now, I understand Kyler's limitations. He's small. He's not exactly great in the pocket because he can barely see the middle of the field. But look at the situation he's dealing with here. The offensive line is below average. His top 2 running backs are injured and they can't run the ball. His receiving core is very, 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 very slow. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been, for 90% of this season, terrible. For the other 10%, he just started to get cooking a little bit, so hopefully that improves some things. But, I mean, who does he have to throw the ball to? Like, yeah, Trey McBride's really, really good. But guys, Trey McBride's a tight end who works the middle of the field. And Kyler Murray can't see the middle of the field half the time. And yeah, they have great chemistry and a connection. But I just don't see the pop, the sizzle, the flair, the fire, the speed of the Cardinals. And they can't possess the ball and run a lot of plays the way they did last year because they can't run the ball. So I think the only way that this thing gets moving forward is if Marvin Harrison Jr. really breaks out, or if they somehow involve Kyler running a little bit more to open up the other aspects of the run game. So I don't have many issues with how Kyler is playing right now. I think he's been fine. I think he's been okay, maybe even at times good. His stats won't reflect that because honestly, he's not going to have a lot of volume. He's not going to have a great opportunity to put up a ton of yards because honestly, the offense is just not very good around him. I kind of feel like Kyler, if he were in a different offense, he would be really productive, but he's in a really tough spot right now. And that being said, though, he's not quite gifted enough or talented enough or as, elite of a passer to really uplift everything around him. So I kind of feel like he's just mid. He's just okay. He's average. Nothing special. Okay. And we're only going to address the quarterbacks we've actually seen play, guys, for a decent amount of time. So, yeah, Kirk Cousins played like one drive. I'm not going to analyze Kirk Cousins. But we do have Michael Penix. Michael Penix, he's been inconsistent. I don't think he's been good. I don't even think he's been mid. He's definitely been below those two categories. The game against Carolina just keeps pulsating in my mind. Like, that game was disgusting. That might have been the worst game I've seen from a quarterback all season. There's guys open, and he just, decides to not throw the ball, take terrible sacks, throw the ball late, throw the ball to the wrong read. I don't know what he was thinking. It's not really like he's played great in any game outside of really Washington. And Washington kind of gave that game to him on a silver platter because they play so much man coverage. All Penix had to do was read the guy that he thought would win his matchup and throw the ball to him. That being said, I still feel like Penix has some good elements to his game. He does have a cannon. He does, I feel like, rip the ball and can hit any spot on the field. He is, though, a little bit erratic with his accuracy. He's not, in my opinion, mobile to the point where he commands a defense to respect it. Although he can take off, it's not an element of his game. And he is a little fragile and antsy in the pocket. And that's the biggest negative I've seen from him this year, is when you suffocate the pocket and get people near him, he's very uncoordinated with his feet and his ability to redirect and kind of get his feet underneath him and make a throw. Whenever somebody collapses the pocket on him, he has a really tough time of managing his actual mechanics. So to me, I think he's not bad, maybe even bad. It's between these two. I might have to readjust this. I'm going to put him in the not bad category. I feel like he's a starting quarterback, but there are just a lot of limitations right now. I don't really trust him from week to week. I don't know what we're going to get from him. So maybe I'm still sort of learning about him, but I have him in the not bad category for now. Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson, this is, again, guys, strictly based on the performance of this season. Lamar Jackson is known as an elite quarterback, but has he played like that this season? I don't think you can argue that he has. I don't think you can make an argument that Lamar Jackson is a top quarterback this season. I thought that he really didn't do a ton against the Bills. The stats were a lot better than the actual game itself. The Lions game, I felt like he made a lot of mistakes in terms of navigating pressure, although he also made a lot of nice throws. The Chiefs game was just bad all around, and we really haven't seen a lot from Lamar in terms of positives. Cleveland, it's not like he played that well in that game. So I think, in all honesty, I think Lamar has been a star. Nothing better, nothing worse. I don't think that Lamar has been elite by any means. I feel like the biggest thing that stood out to me with Lamar this season has been his inability to navigate the blitz, his inability to navigate pressure, his lack of understanding of that teams are trying to spy him, contain him. He's really struggled with that element of the game. He's taken way too many sacks compared to years past. He's not eluding defenders the way that he has. He's not buying time the way that he has. He's not running the way that he has previously. I will say there are elements of Lamar that I am impressed with this season, like I was last year. I think he's been accurate when he's decided to throw the ball. He's mostly on time and on the money. And I feel like there were elements in that Lions game where it kind of showed us and foreshadowed the elements that are really disgusting about Baltimore right now. Their pass protection at times, but more importantly, I feel like Lamar had to make a lot happen for them to even survive that game. So I still feel like obviously he's a quarterback that at his best can be an elite MVP caliber player. But if I'm looking at this season's production, this season's Lamar Jackson, he has really regressed in ways individually as well as ways within the offense and how they're performing. So I put him in the star category. Obviously, he's injured right now. We'll see if he can bounce back when he returns. Next, Cooper Rush has played an entire game. Cooper Rush does not deserve to be starting in the NFL. Cooper Rush is a bum. Cooper Rush is pathetic. Cooper Rush, all the Texans did was all out blitz him on every single down, and Cooper Rush barely survived. I thought he was going to get sawed in half. He has no movement skills, no strong arm, no element of his game that allows you to actually, count on it. He's not very smart. He doesn't make very good decisions. I don't really understand why Cooper Rush is even a backup in the NFL. I get that he's played some decent games with the Cowboys, but I guess he's a really nice guy. I don't really understand why he's even given the opportunity. So, yeah, he's a bum. I don't need to go too much further than that. Josh Allen. So, Josh Allen, I think you can put in the MVP category. I don't think this has been Josh's best season. I don't think Josh has played like he did last year. But I do feel like, the one game against the Ravens was ludicrous. That was the best quarterback performance I think we've seen all season. He was unbelievable in week one. Just his command of the offense, his consistency, his ability to just make explosive after explosive after explosive when it wasn't really even there to be had. He was just continuously making plays inside or outside of the pocket and just throwing laser beams just absolutely everywhere. I feel like against Miami, against the Saints, those are games that lesser quarterbacks may have lost. In many ways, they got out-coached in those games. They got out-schemed in those games. And it felt like they really didn't, around him, perform all that well. But Josh is just simply so good that it never felt like they would lose those games because every time he needed to, he would run for the first down. He would throw for the first down. He would throw a laser. He would make something happen when it wasn't there. So Josh's element of MVP is the fact that everything around him so far this season has been mediocre to disappointing, and he's still making everything happen. Now, the offensive line, I think, is good, and the run game is good. Very good. But you know what I'm saying. You watch the Bills, and it's just Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen at the end of the day. It's not some juggernaut of a team. So, yeah, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. If I had to pick a quarterback right now to start a franchise with for the next 5 years, it's Josh Allen 100%. Is he playing like the best quarterback right now? That is debatable because I oftentimes feel like the Bills throw too many screens. I feel like he throws too many short dink and dunk passes. And yeah, that's a productive way to play quarterback. You can survive that way. But I honestly feel like Allen is kind of limited by the personnel around him. He doesn't really have a deep threat. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really have that capability of being a juggernaut passer that throws for 5,000 because the offense isn't structured that way. They don't lean into that. And it's kind of disappointing. It's kind of boring, but it is what it is. He's still absurdly good, and he is the reason the Bills are a Super Bowl favorite, 100%. So I have him in the MVP category. Bryce Young. Bryce Young, that is tough. I feel like Bryce Young has been bad to be honest with you. I know that they've won 2 games, but even in the games that they won, I didn't really feel like Bryce played that well. And in some of the games they lost, I felt like he played really poorly. Against the Patriots, he was horrific. Like, absolutely terrible. Like, he couldn't complete a pass. He couldn't make a throw. He was, like, jittery in the pocket, making quick trigger decisions. This year, I don't see it with Bryce. I feel like late last season, I was buying in a little bit into his composure, his confidence, his vision, those sort of aspects that we saw at Alabama, right? Even to some degree, his athleticism and his quickness and his ability to run. But this year, I know that they've won 2 games. I haven't seen it in his games. They beat the Dolphins because they ran the ball really well, and they beat the Falcons because their defense played really well, and Michael Penix absolutely stunk it up. So, Bryce Young, Michael Penix, I guess there's been some similarities there. I just don't remember a performance this year, or even a stretch of a performance this year, where Bryce Young has been good. I just kind of feel like he's been mediocre at best. And I understand the offensive line had some injuries, and, now Hubbard's injured, and their receiving core isn't very good. But, like, most of his production has come in aspects of games where it's already over. Like, the game against the Cardinals, I was there. Like, Bryce was just, he holds the ball too long. He doesn't really have an explosive arm. He can't really extend plays. Like, he's small. It's just, I don't see it. This year, like, I want to buy into Bryce. He seems like a good guy. I just don't see it. Next, Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams has been, okay, this is tough. He's kind of like Kyler this year. I think Caleb has a very good infrastructure around him. I think the offensive line is clearly improved. The run game is still leaving something to be desired, but it's enough of a balance to give you a little bit of something. The defense obviously has stunk, which doesn't help. Caleb is erratic. That's the biggest way. He's inconsistent, right? But he has made some really nice plays as a runner this year. He looks fast. He looks explosive. His arm is awesome. I mean, he makes a number of throws, like, in terms of just rocket outside the pocket, just ridiculous throws on the move that you don't see from many quarterbacks. He's got an absolute cannon in that regard. He still struggles to throw the ball deep. He still struggles at times to read a defense. He still struggles at times holding the ball too long. But I do feel like he's gotten marginally better, slightly better in all those categories. He's not turning the ball over too many times. And I think he's grown with the offense. So I would say that Caleb has been mid. I'm kind of a Caleb hater, as you guys know, but it's not necessarily because I'm a hater. It's just because, like, I just feel like his hype and stuff is a little out of control. But I have him as mid. Like, I think he's had some good moments. I think that he's shown some explosiveness. It's just that he's far too inconsistent from down to down with his accuracy, with his downfield element. So Caleb is mid. Next, Joe Burrow. Honestly, Joe Burrow this season, from what we saw, he only really played like a game and a half. I feel like Joe Burrow was like, okay, this is weird. I don't even want to really rank him because the offensive line was atrocious. Jake Browning entered the fold, and Jake Browning looked like the worst quarterback I've ever seen on that same offense, on that same team. But, like, when Joe Burrow was playing, he was not playing well, right? Like, and I think the infrastructure around him has since been exposed. I would say that Joe Burrow, like, honestly, was not good. Like, he was bad. Like, I don't remember Joe Burrow doing anything. I don't remember his stats, but he was not playing well at all. Like, at all. So, that's all I really got to say about that. Next, Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, I would put in the not bad category. I feel like I don't see an element of a franchise quarterback quite yet. But against the Vikings team, Brian Flores, maybe the most complicated defense in the NFL, on a difficult travel, right? Like going to London, having to replace Joe Flacco, learning that offense, and going into a neutral field environment against a very complicated defense. The Vikings were already rested. Their body clock was in control, having played in Dublin the week previous. That was a really difficult spot to put a rookie quarterback in his first ever start. Gabriel was efficient. He didn't make mistakes. I felt like he got the ball out. He handled the blitz and pressure fairly well. He didn't do anything above and beyond. He made a lot of quick throws, but he was mostly accurate. He mostly played on time. You saw a little bit of that hint of mobility. I thought that he gave them a little bit more than Flacco, just in terms of being more decisive, protecting the ball, and just being able to move a little bit more and kind of allowing that offense to function in terms of the boots and things like that. So we need to see more from Gabriel, but I think so far he's shown a little bit. I don't think he popped in a way that says franchise quarterback, but I think it said, okay, give this kid some time. Let's see if we can really learn about him. But obviously, he was one of the more prepared rookie quarterbacks that we're going to see this season or in any season because he has a ton of experience playing in college football. Okay, Jake Browning is a bum. I don't really need to explain. I think he has 8 interceptions in 4 starts, which is atrocious. He's thrown 3 interceptions in 2 different games. He's thrown some of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. And the other times he's played, he's just been chucking the ball up into double coverage. So Browning has been an absolute travesty to watch on my television. I have nothing else really to say about that. Joe Flacco has been a bum. I love Joe Flacco. He's a gunslinger, formerly an elite quarterback in the NFL, a Super Bowl champion, aura of an old man, a dad energy that is irreplaceable. But at the same time, Joe Flacco can't move at all. Joe Flacco threw absolute abundance of interceptions. I think he's thrown 6 picks and he's thrown 2 touchdowns. And those stats actually justify how poorly he's played. These aren't just stats that I'm going to throw out there to say the guy sucks. No, he's been really bad. Some of the interceptions he's thrown, I don't even know what he's doing. He's just throwing the ball to the other team. And yeah, he can throw the swing pass to the back. Congratulations. He can throw the check down to the tight end, the screen pass. But Joe Flacco is washed. His release is slow. He can't move. He's not adding any sort of explosion to the offense. Yeah, Flacco is just toast. I don't know what to tell you guys. He's done. Okay. Then we have Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has been one of the best quarterbacks in football this year. I would say Dak Prescott has been MVP caliber. The biggest thing that stands out for me for Dak Prescott is the combination of presence in terms of his mind and also his feet. So pre-snap, understanding what a defense is bringing, whether it be a blitz, the coverage, his decisiveness in his decision-making, and then also his ability on top of that to activate his feet and extend plays at times. I think Dak has been really, really good as a passer this season. I think he's played really accurate football. I think he's really a good fit for what Schottenheimer's doing right now. They have balance offensively. He's been able to persevere in a way that I don't think I've seen from Dak throughout his career, where he's actually earning his contract, where Dak has gone above and beyond offensive line injuries, where Dak has gone above and beyond wide receiver injuries, where Dak has gone above and beyond defense that has played like absolute doo-doo. So you look at Dak, and this might be the most individually impressive performance throughout a season I've seen from Dak Prescott in terms of he has not been a quarterback that's persevered in his career. It's usually Dak plays well when he has good things around him. This year, it doesn't matter what's around him so far. He has put up 40 burgers in multiple games. He's put up 4 touchdowns against the Jets. He's been slicing, he's been dicing, and he's been reliably kicking the crap out of bad defenses. So Dak Prescott, so far so good, MVP. Next, okay, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I think, has been mid. I think Bo Nix has been a lot like Caleb, a lot like Kyler. There have been flashes of good things. There have been flashes of bad things. I think Bo Nix still struggles with holding the ball a little too long, and whenever his first read isn't there, he kind of panics. I think he struggles a little bit with head cut off like a chicken syndrome, where he kind of like stares down at the ground, does a spinorama, then just chucks the ball randomly. He's had some really bad performances at times. He's missed some deep balls and deep shots that he really should hit. But at other times, he's made some clutch plays, some clutch throws, like that Eagles second half. I felt like that was the best we've seen from Bo Nix this year. He still adds an element in terms of avoiding negative plays better than most quarterbacks, where he's able to scramble, throw the ball away, and do his thing of complementing a good defense. I think at the same time, he does have physical tools that you like the arm strength, like the mobility. But I think for most of the season, he'd probably be in this category. But based on, the uplift that we saw from that Eagles performance, that second half, beating a team like the Eagles, I thought he played pretty well against the Colts as well. So I'd put him in the mid category. He's been up, down, inconsistent, but he's flashed some good things that we saw last year. Jared Goff, I would say superstar caliber or stud caliber performance so far this season. Not quite MVP. I don't think he's been like the reason the Lions are awesome. But Jared Goff, he's so smart, calculated, decisive. His ability to just understand his offense. It really feels like he is the reason the offense flows the way it does. And you see that in his command. I think like he has a very unique command in terms of knowing where to go with the ball, hitting his back foot, and always seemingly having an answer for every coverage, understanding the pre-snap process, being a very good post-snap decision maker, having a strong arm that can reach all levels of the field, being able to activate all his weapons, being very dangerous in terms of, all aspects of the game, having control over the 2-minute situations, like not turning the ball over, not taking negative plays. Jared Goff, really besides week 1, which wasn't really all his fault because the pressure was kind of insurmountable in that game and they had no run game. I kind of feel like Jared Goff has been very, very good outside of that. And that's kind of where Goff can be exposed. He can't really go above and beyond bad offensive line play. And that kind of might be what kind of keeps him from the MVP conversation. But other than that, he can kind of do everything else and even better than a lot of quarterbacks in terms of just his smarts and his control of an offense. Jordan Love, I think's played pretty well this year. I would put Jordan Love in the star category. I think Love has made some really nice throws. I think Love has done a good job at throwing the ball under pressure. I feel like he's been more accurate this year. And I think like that Dallas game, he was able to persevere through a performance that was unexpected from his defense. I actually felt like the Cleveland game, he played pretty well until that interception, which was brutal, right? He still needs to kind of even out his game, but I think some of the problems I've had with Jordan Love, like the wild misses and the inconsistencies of accuracy, he's been more fine-tuned this year. And I'll also say about Jordan Love, he's had to deal with some offensive line injuries. He's had to deal with some receiver injuries. I don't think the Packers supporting cast outside of the play calling itself is really all that special, right? And he's played pretty well. I thought he played really well against Detroit, really well against the Commanders. I thought he played better than people thought against Cleveland. And I thought he played really well against Dallas. So for the most part, I think he's been a star. It's just that like a lot of what he's given within the offense, it's him executing what's there to be had. He's not, a lot of the times it feels like the offense is so well structured that it gives him answers. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to put him anywhere above this. But I think so far he's been a good quarterback this season. CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud has been not bad. I think, the last couple weeks he's been better for sure. I think last week was his best performance. He had time to throw. He seemed more confident, more accurate, more decisive, and just felt like he was more composed within what the offense wanted to do, more confident in the plan of what they were bringing to that game. I think Stroud surprisingly has struggled with accuracy throughout this season, which is one of the elements that I liked about him in college and in his rookie season. His placement of the football in particular, his understanding of that, I feel like that's been off this year. I feel like he does make too many boneheaded plays under pressure especially where he just decides to hold the ball way too long and not trust to not take a negative play and throw the ball away and make a quick throw and make a decisive throw. And I think we've seen some magical elements outside the pocket, but it's been kind of not exactly elite. You know what I'm saying? I think that he's just growing right now in his confidence, in this structure, in this offense. He started the season very poorly. I'd almost say he was playing bad. He was playing like a bum. But it's grown. It's gotten better. I think the last couple weeks, I'd say not bad. Not bad, considering the offensive line is still utter dog crap. So throwing that in there as well. Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones has been... this is tough. Not mid. Better than mid. I'd say Daniel Jones has been a stud. Honestly. Like, Daniel Jones is making downfield throws. Daniel Jones is adding to the run game. Daniel Jones is not making too many mistakes. That Rams game, a little bit, on the borderline of costing his team the game with the interceptions. And he threw a lot of dicey throws. That was definitely his weakest performance. But they could have won that game. Of course, we know with the Jonathan Taylor touchdown called back and Adonai Mitchell with the holding and then with the fumble. So other than that, I mean, he's been near flawless against Miami and against the Raiders. He's executed the offense at a very high level. He's taking the check down when it's there. He's taking the big throw opportunities when it's there. And I don't think we've really seen a performance where he's had to carry the team like an MVP would. But he's playing really well inside what Steichen's structure is asking him to do. And he's doing it in a variety of ways. Quick throws, downfield throws, running the ball. So I think he's been a stud. Next, Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence probably had his best performance this season against the Chiefs. Otherwise, Trevor Lawrence has played pretty poorly, in my opinion. He had a really good last drive against the Chiefs, but his accuracy has been erratic. His understanding of the offense, his control of the offense frustrates me. His overall inability to not take a delay a game every fourth play is really frustrating. And I just feel like he lacks a level of high-level intelligence in terms of creativity, vision, understanding the moment of games. That came through against the Chiefs. I thought he ran really well against the Chiefs. He needs to play more like that consistently, but he has not played like that consistently. I'd put Trevor Lawrence in the not bad category because a lot of his production has come on screens, quick throws, silver platter offensive production from Liam Cohen. He hasn't had many big-time throws this year. The Chiefs game, a couple, right? A couple. But that was his best performance of the year. The other games, he has not played well. He has been actually the worst element of the team this season. Their defense has played well. Their run game has been very good. Their offensive line has been solid. Their coaching has been phenomenal. Every element has been dragging Trevor Lawrence. And last week against the Chiefs was the only time we saw him put together a half-decent performance where when the moment arose, he put together a good moment of play. So Trevor Lawrence, kind of like CJ Stroud, getting better right now, tracking in the right direction, but for most of the season has not played particularly well. Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes has had some really good moments this year. I don't understand why people have him in the MVP conversation. He is 2-3. I felt like Mahomes in week 1 had some really good outside structure plays, but inside structure really struggled, right? I feel like week 2 against the Eagles, he didn't really do too much to win that game and was kind of mediocre. And then the last couple weeks, like the Giants game, he chucked the ball up and Tyquan Thornton caught it a couple times and then he ran it well. So the first 3 games I felt like, he just kind of the same what we saw last year. The last couple weeks against Jacksonville, I thought outside of the interception, which lost them the game ultimately, he was very good. Like I thought he made inside structure plays, the quick savvy RPO throws, the downfield throws. I thought he was pretty good. And he ran the ball well, and he was able to elude and buy time and create magic. The week previous against Baltimore, he was pretty much flawless, but it was against the worst defense in football. Everything was kind of wide open. So honestly, I don't really know if I can really say that it was some sort of MVP spectacular performance. I'd say that Mahomes has been a star this year. I don't think that he's been like anything crazy good, but I think he's been good, above average for sure. He's been able to, I think, make a lot more plays outside structure. I think he's been able to throw the ball downfield a bit better than previous years. And I think he's been able to find ways with a revolving door of receivers to make some plays. That being said, I still feel like he's a lot more inaccurate than people talk about. I feel like he does miss some plays that people don't talk about. I could see people putting him in the stud category. I just don't think he's been quite that good. Next, who do we have next? Geno Smith. Geno Smith has been, I would say, bad. I don't really want to put him in the bum category. I don't think it's quite that severe, but bad for sure. He's thrown 9 interceptions. Some of them are mind-numbingly bad. Some of them are unlucky. He has had some good moments. I think against the Patriots, he played really well. I think against the Bears, he had some really good moments. And I do feel like the other games, the Commanders game, the Colts game, there's a lot going wrong around him. The offensive line has been atrocious. The run game has been poor. There's not a lot for him to rely on. I still feel like he can make some really big-time throws, but yeah, just the decision-making and some game-changing turnovers have really been the reason why he's been so bad. And the whole Raiders offense has just been bad. Like, not just Geno, like everybody. And I don't know what their identity is. The defense isn't very good. Like, the Raiders are just a joke. So I have Geno in the bad category. Next, Matthew Stafford, I think. Oh, sorry. Justin Herbert first, then Matthew Stafford. So Justin Herbert, I think Herbert, so the thing is, after the first 3 games, he was an MVP candidate, right? They were 3-0. He was throwing laser beams. He was really good in the pocket, extremely accurate. As Tom Brady put it, the best passer in football. But since then, they've dropped 2 games. He's had some turnovers. He hasn't been able to overcome the offensive line around him. And I just kind of feel like it's the same old excuses with If Man here. He has the hot girlfriend, but we're still making excuses for him. So I feel like Herbert, I would put him in the stud category because the last couple weeks have been disappointing. I thought that Justin Herbert, after those first 3 games, we were about to see peak Justin Herbert. We were about to see this guy is ascending to the point where it doesn't matter what's around him. He is going to make this team operate. He's going to make this team flow. He's going to make this team go. And it's been disappointing to me the last couple weeks. Maybe this is a level of expectations that's holding him back. But I thought he was like the best quarterback in football through the first couple games. I thought he was making runs. Like that same motivation, that same hunger, that same vibe, that same vigor that we saw against the Chiefs, that we saw against Denver. I don't see it the last couple of games. I don't see it. I see him affected by the pressure, right? I see him making big mistakes. I see him taking sacks. It just hasn't quite been as good. And I know that the offensive line has been terrible, but MVP candidates can persevere through that. So I have to put him in the stud category for his performance. Next, Matthew Stafford. Stafford is interesting because I feel like Stafford has been individually pretty spectacular throughout the course of the season. There's nobody that's throwing the ball better than Stafford. There's nobody that has more command than Matthew Stafford. There's nobody making more big-time throws than Stafford, right? The reason they lost to the Eagles, he didn't play his best. That might have been his weakest performance, but that really came down to field goal blocks and special teams. The reason they lost to the Niners, he was amazing in that game. He was unbelievable. The reason they lost that game is because Kyron Williams and Blake Corum couldn't hold on to the ball, to be honest. So I look at his games this year, and I think that he is an MVP because I just feel like he has all the answers right now. He's in that zen zone where he has all the answers. He knows what's coming from the defense. He's making no-look throws. He's processing better than anybody in football. And he's still playing at such a high level physically. He's in that rare older quarterback zen zone that we've seen from Brady and Rodgers in years past, where it's like, no matter what you do to this guy, he's going to know what to do because he's just seen everything. You know what I'm saying? So Stafford, despite the couple losses that were a little rough, I still have to put him in MVP. Next, Tua. I would say, okay, so against Carolina, he wasn't bad. I would say against Buffalo, he wasn't bad, but I mean, he threw a terrible interception, and he really didn't make any throws in the game. Like zero. I don't recall a throw he made past 10 yards. The Colts game, he might have had the worst performance we've seen from a quarterback all year. The Patriots game, he actually played pretty well. He made some throws down the field. I would say, though, he's been bad overall. He's terrible under pressure. Every play that they make is kind of on a silver platter for him to make. You could maybe argue he's been not bad. You could make that argument. He's between these two, for sure. Right? He has no scramble element to his game. It just feels like, though, the elements where he's good, it's all the offense. I haven't seen him make a deep throw this season, really. He's thrown terrible interceptions, back-breaking sacks. He doesn't lead the team. I think he's been bad overall. You could maybe put him here, but I can't. I can't do it. JJ McCarthy. So JJ was really bad, or just not ready, I think would be the way to categorize it, against Chicago in the first couple quarters. That being said, a lot of that I think had to do with the conservative nature of the Vikings game plan. They weren't letting him throw the ball down the field. They were very much bubble wrapping this young player. Against Atlanta, I felt like he didn't play very well. I felt like he didn't see the field very well. He took some bad sacks. That being said, the offensive line in the first couple of weeks for Minnesota was atrocious, and they were finding their way in the run game. Their weapons weren't quite all the way back. So there are excuses for JJ here. I would say not bad. I think that's fair. I think that's fair for JJ. And kind of not bad being that we kind of need a little bit more time. to be honest. Drake May. So Drake May, to me, has been one of the best quarterbacks in football this year. The Raiders game was his roughest performance. I thought that he threw a pretty bad interception. His accuracy and placement was erratic, and he didn't appear confident in the offense, the structure, or the overall play calling, and or the rain had an effect on him as well. After that, you can make an argument Drake May has legitimately been the best quarterback in the NFL. He outplayed Josh Allen in Buffalo with a much lesser environment, I feel like. The receiving cores are similar, but I feel like the offensive line for Buffalo and the run game for Buffalo is much better. But Drake May outperformed Josh Allen in Buffalo, right? Carolina, he was pretty much flawless. Against the Steelers, he was really, really good. That interception, people say that's his fault. The ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he could have thrown the ball a bit higher. He's barely turned the ball over this year. He did have a fumble against the Steelers as well, but I thought for the most part that game he played really well. Like, he was very explosive in that game as a passer, as a runner. He made a ton of fourth down conversions in that game. Against who else have they played? Is that all the games they've played? Kind of feel like that's it. Right? I might be missing a game. But I feel like Drake May has been an MVP. I mean, think about it for a second, right? Like, running, throwing, third down, fourth down ability, nobody's been better. Explosive downfield throws, nobody's been better. Outside structure, nobody's been better. Consistency, completion percentage, nobody's been better. He's uplifting this offense. They don't have a lot around him. So Drake May is absolutely an MVP candidate. I don't see how he's not, to be honest with you. Spencer Rattler, I think not bad is fair for Spencer Rattler. I think he's been a lot better than I would have thought. And I wasn't low on Rattler coming into the NFL. I actually kind of liked him. I kind of liked some of the elements of his game. He's a little bit of a gamer, right? But I think Rattler, he hasn't turned it over very many times, which has kept him in a lot of games. He overall has been pretty accurate with his placement of the football. He hasn't made a ton of downfield throws, and he hasn't been overly explosive as an athlete or a passer. But he did last week, make a big play to Rashid Shaheed. I think that's maybe the element that's kind of missing for me to be truly impressed, for him to be the starter for the Saints long term, is he doesn't make a ton happen outside of what the offense gives him. But overall, he's running this offense fairly well. They're running the ball fairly well. They're playing a bit better on defense than I would have expected. He's hanging in games against good opponents. I don't have any problems with how he's played. I can't really say he's the reason they're losing. I just also kind of feel like he has limitations. That's kind of what I'm saying. He's a little small. He's not super athletic. He's not great in terms of his arm. So he's just limited. But overall, he's done his job fairly well. Next, Jackson Dart. I kind of need to see more from Jackson Dart. It's hard for me to say. I would put him in the not bad category, I guess. Sort of like JJ McCarthy. I sort of need to see a little bit more here. Last week against the Saints, I thought he was pretty bad. He fumbled the ball for no good reason. He took some bad sacks. He missed. He did make some throws, but he also missed some throws. And I just think the biggest element that I've seen from him is just we haven't seen him as a passer really shine yet. As a runner and as an athlete, we've seen some good things against the Chargers. And I thought just his aura, his bravado, his energy, his vibe, his leadership has been evident. The energy that he brought to the team, that's maybe been the best element of what he's brought. But as a NFL drop back passer, there's a lot to be desired there, leaving a lot to be desired. And I just need to see more. Kind of like JJ McCarthy. Some good, some bad, some in between. Needs to cut down on some of those dumb decisions, but he'll get there, I think. Maybe. Russell Wilson. I have to put him in the bad because Russell Wilson did have that amazing game against the Cowboys where he was lights out. He did make a really stupid interception or throw a really stupid interception in overtime, but otherwise he was throwing seed after seed, dot after dot down the field, and guys were running wide open at times. I would say, though, against the Chiefs, he was, like, atrocious. Like, absolutely horrifically bad. Against the Commanders, he was bad. Running and throwing, he was bad. His just inability to play within structure, his inability to process, his inability to throw anything but, like, a curl route or a go route is just, like, gross to watch. He thinks he's Russell Wilson at 26 years old, and he's not anymore, and it's just a guy that's completely washed. It's just what it is at this point. And I almost feel like he's not even a great leader because he's just so cheesy. Like, teammates can't buy into him at this point either. So I put him in the bad. Next, who do we have to talk about? Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields. So Tyrod did play a game. Justin Fields has played as well. I would say Justin Fields has been not bad. He's not much of a passer. I thought his best passing game was against the Steelers. I think as a runner, he's been pretty effective when he's taken off. But my biggest problem with Justin Fields is down-to-down consistency. And then the fact of the matter is with Justin Fields, like, I'm sure there'll be Jets fans and other NFL fans that like Justin Fields that are in the comments saying, like, he's been better than this. If you look at the box score, sure. If you look at the stats, sure. But if you're actually watching the game from the start and then watch the game from the first quarter, the first snap to halftime, they're out of the game. They're done. It's over, right? You look at that box score at the end of the game and you're like, well, Fields played pretty well. But if you just stop the game at halftime, you would realize what I'm talking about, right? Like, inability to read the field, inaccuracies. Offense is very restricted for what they ask him to do. He's a good runner. He's a good athlete. Drop back passer? No. Right? So still similar elements of struggles that we've seen from him. But there's enough good to put him out of the bad category, I would say. Tyrod Taylor, it's only been one game this year. You know what you're going to get from Tyrod. He's going to dink and dunk his way to success. He doesn't bring any sort of downfield element to the game at all. He did kind of have a little bit of a comeback against the Bucs, made the game interesting. He doesn't really move like he used to. He's not an aggressive decision maker. I'd kind of say Tyrod's bad. Like, Tyrod was just bad. Like, nothing good, nothing, I don't know, nothing that really put the team in a good position to win the game. I'll say that. You know, didn't do anything but really, like, manage them to a loss. Jalen Hurts. We haven't seen Jameis yet, unfortunately. Jalen Hurts has been... Okay, let's think about it. So Dallas, I thought he was decent. His decision-making, his quick decisiveness, his rushing ability. Against the Chiefs, thought he kind of struggled. But he wasn't bad. You know, he didn't put them in jeopardy to lose the game. Against the Bucs, he did absolutely nothing in the second half. The first half, he did some good things, you know, against the blitz, and he did some good things running. Against the Broncos, I thought I actually had a pretty strong first half. In the second half, he struggled to adjust. And I think the most frustrating element about Jalen Hurts is that there's just so much around him. And the thing about Jalen Hurts is, and I'm going to put him in mid. The thing about Jalen Hurts is he's playing a different sport from other quarterbacks. He's allowed to hold the ball for 4 seconds. No other quarterback is allowed to hold the ball for 4 seconds. Right? He does a good job of avoiding those turnovers because he can scramble and he can throw the ball away or he can run. Obviously, he has the magical tush push, right? But few and far between downfield throws. Last week against Denver, he made 1 or 2. A lot of his passing has been dink and dunk and just getting the ball underneath. Nothing special. But the offense is very simple, and that's because of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts purposely wants it to be that way. Their run game hasn't been as good. In fact, maybe the best element of the run game has been himself, Jalen Hurts. But this offense is one of the worst in football. They have stretches of games where they don't do a thing. They have stretches of games where they can't execute with one of the best weapon cores in the NFL and one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Why is that? I think that falls on the quarterback. So there are good moments, but there are also moments of like, dude, do something. Like, just don't sit back there and take a sack. Like, read the field and make a throw. Aaron Rodgers. I thought he had an okay game against the Jets. I don't think it was as good as the 4 touchdowns would suggest, but he made some nice throws. And his movement has been a little bit better than maybe we would have thought. Against the Patriots, I actually thought he didn't play very well, but he did make a couple throws. The Calvin Austin touchdown, the DK Metcalf touchdown. He also had a bad interception to Robert Spillane. He was a little bit off with the timing. I felt like against Seattle, he was not great. He threw some bad interceptions. But he hasn't really had an offense that's been consistent. The receiving core isn't very good. The O-line has been inconsistent. The run game has been inconsistent. The defense has been inconsistent. He's not dealing with a great infrastructure. For the most part, I think the last week, like that Vikings game, he was decisive. He was quick-minded, quick throws, getting the ball out on time. He made some nice throws, some good decisions. He controls the offense, the tempo of the game, the control of the game. So I feel like Rodgers has been pretty mid. I think that's fair. Some good, some bad. I don't think he's had a performance where he carried the team to a win, but at the same time, I feel like he hasn't been the reason they've lost. And he hasn't been the sole reason they've struggled either. He just has his limitations. He can't really move. The offense has been inconsistent. So it is what it is. Brock Purdy. Okay. Brock Purdy against the Seahawks was very up and down. He had some nice throws down the field to Ricky Pearsall. He had that magical, fluky Tonjes touchdown. He made some nice scrambles, but he also had 2 terrible interceptions. Purdy has frustrated me with his just reluctance to get rid of the ball, his reluctance to throw the check down. He holds the ball too long at times. I do feel like he's made some creative plays, and I do feel like he's been fine with his touch and accuracy, but not good either. I kind of feel like he's been too turnover happy. I won't really put blame on him for that interception that he tried to throw the ball to McCaffrey, got off his hands. Like, okay, there are elements of that, but I think that people blame other things. They blame the injuries of the offense. They blame the offensive line when I don't really think it's their fault. I think we've seen the difference between him and Mac Jones in terms of what the offense truly needs from Brock Purdy. He just tries to be Superman when he doesn't need to be. And it's trying to find that fine line between making those creative plays and difference-making outside structure plays and making the inside structure plays, which are typically there for a Shanahan offense. So I kind of feel like Brock Purdy has been not bad. Mac Jones. Mac Jones has played now 3 games. He's 3-0. Mac Jones, I thought, played very decisive, quick-minded, and accurate football against the Rams. He was also tough as nails. Against the Saints, I thought he was very efficient. There were moments where he held the ball a bit too long, but he did make some explosive throws to Jawan Jennings, and overall just executing the offense at a high level. You know, understanding when to get rid of the ball, protecting his offensive line, throwing a lot, like with a lot of volume, and winning games with a lot of volume. He came through in the clutch against the Cardinals, even if he had some rough points in that game. of, that interception he threw was not great. I don't really blame him for the safety he took. I feel like that was more on the offensive line. He hasn't had a run game, but he's kept the offense afloat. He hasn't had all his receivers, but he's kept the offense, motoring, and he's beaten two of the division rivals with a lesser supporting cast. No George Kittle in either of his games, right? Ricky Pearsall in and out, Jawan Jennings in and out. Mac Jones, to me, has been a star. I feel like there's been few and far between in terms of the moments where it's been negative. Like, I think when you look at the mid quarterbacks this year, Murray, Caleb, Bo Nix, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, they have had more negatives than Mac Jones. Right? Like, Mac has had a lot of positives in his play. And I'm just so impressed with his command of the offense, his accuracy, and his ability to just win games while throwing the ball so many times. Quarterbacks don't do that very often. Okay? Next up, we have Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold has been a stud. Now, what I love from Sam has been the explosive passes. That's an element in Minnesota that I thought was really there for him, and I think that's shined through. His decision-making has mostly been really strong. I do feel like his pocket navigation has been pretty good. He adds the odd element of scrambling every once in a while. He got a little bit of an unfortunate break against that Levante David interception against Tampa Bay. He made some downfield passes against the Steelers. I thought his roughest performance was the first week of the year against the 49ers. And that was the first week of the year in a new offense with a new supporting cast. And there are some elements of kind of like Drake May, right? Like, both guys kind of had those shaky moments of, I'm not really certain about what's going on right now in terms of the scheme. You know what I'm saying? But after that, Sam has been really, really good. I thought when he needed to be in the clutch against the Cardinals, he was very good. I thought against the Bucs, he went toe-to-toe with Baker all day long. The thing I need to see from Sam is throwing with high volume and winning a game. And then, winning a game against a good team. Because so far, he's beaten who? Really, truly. The Cardinals, the Saints. He hasn't stepped up in class and won that game. So that's why he's not an MVP. But in all the games that he's played, I mean, he's been really, really productive. And I think he has been getting the most out of this offense. So I love what I'm seeing from Sam. Next, we have Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has been probably the best quarterback in football this year. I think Baker, and I purposely put him first on the list. Baker has been the MVP. And every single one of their wins, he has led a game-winning drive. He has done this without Mike Evans in games, Chris Godwin in games, Tristan Wirfs in games, Luke Gedeke in moments, Cody Mock in moments, Bucky Irving in games. He's done this with defensive injuries, offensive injuries, a new offensive coordinator. A lot of instability around him. He has kept this team stable. He has kept this offense afloat. He has persevered through pressure. Sure, he's had some bad moments in games against the Eagles. But for the most part, man, this is the reason. This is the guy. This is the reason they're winning these games. The defense has improved, in my opinion. But they were injured against Seattle, and he still was able to come through and win that game. Right? He was still able, without Mike Evans, to put up a productive day against the Eagles and against Seattle. He was still able to lead a game-winning drive against the Falcons after what looked like a shaky first half. He was able to come back and persevere, right? In other weeks, winning games that we may have thought they might have lost, like the Texans game on Monday Night Football, against the best defense in football. He has the best day that we've seen against that defense, and he leads a game-winning drive. So, Baker Mayfield has been clutch. He's been a great leader. He's been a great passer. He's made explosive plays. He's been a great scrambler. Now, everything in between. Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I would put in the not bad. I feel like he's had some explosive passes. I thought he was very impressive against the Cardinals late in the game. Some explosive passes, some bad turnovers and mistakes, some erraticness. But when you're thinking about what's around him, the defense isn't very good. The offensive line has struggled all year. The coach is a jabroni. The receiving core is underwhelming. The run game is inconsistent. Like, Cam Ward is actually, what's most impressive about him is his presence in terms of, like, his attitude. Calling his team out for being ass. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. It's not even him on the field, but, like, that is a very positive thing for a young quarterback, to see that leadership and then to be able to respond. I also feel like he's made some really nice throws down the field, and he's getting a lot out of very little in some moments. But all other moments, like, they've done next to nothing. They're the worst team in the league. So he's a tough evaluation, but I see the sparks. I see the positives. Jaden Daniels, I think, has been... Okay, so let's think about his game this year. So against the Chargers, I thought he was solid. Against the Packers, I thought he played very poorly. I thought against the Giants, he played solid. I thought, again, is that the only games he's played? Did he play the Raiders? I feel like Marcus Mariota played the Raiders. The Falcons, he didn't play. So he played 3 games. Chargers might have been his best game of the season. He's been navigating some injury issues, navigating no Terry McLaurin. I thought he sucked against the Packers. Mediocre against the Giants. I'd say he's been mid. I just kind of feel like we haven't seen the magic from Jaden Daniels that we saw last year. The outside structure throws, right? Those downfield throws. A lot of his production has come on dumps to the back, him running, him throwing a screen pass, him throwing a quick in route or slant. Like, nothing too dynamic, nothing too special, nothing that the offense can't replicate from a different player. So, that being said, Jaden is always so composed. Jaden just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And that's what I really think is so good about him. But I don't think I can say so far this year he's been spectacular. Marcus Mariota, I'd put in the mid, maybe even the star category. I think, like, he's been here or there. Against the Raiders, I thought he was pretty much flawless. I thought he made some great runs. I thought he made some explosive throws. Against the Falcons, I thought he was actually really good. You know what? I'm going to put Mariota in the star category. I thought Mariota was actually really good. I think PFF might have had him ranked as the #1 quarterback so far this season at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was looking really dynamic as a rusher. He was throwing the ball really well down the field. He was keeping them in the game against the Falcons. Yeah, I think, honestly, he's kind of been, like, above average. Like, I think he's performed better than Jaden Daniels. I don't think they beat the Falcons with Jaden Daniels. They didn't beat them with Mariota. I don't think it mattered. I honestly don't. So, yeah, I just kind of feel like there's been more explosives from Marcus Mariota. Maybe I'm crazy. You guys let me know what you think there. Obviously, it's only based on this season and what we've seen. But those are my tier rankings, guys. So far through 2025, 5 weeks of the NFL season. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.